if y'all don't give us what we want, like, we said no.
That's a possibility.
All right, so this video is for CFWB, the self-proclaimed God, in quotation marks. This guy's a phony. He makes videos about WNBA related topics and players, and I was somebody, like most people that have tuned into the WNBA. Uh, we didn't really have anything until the previous year, last year. Caitlin Clark came in and gave us something to look forward to when looking at the WNBA, because before that it was just always silly highlights of players missing wide open layups or demanding to make LeBron James money, or saying that they could beat top tier NBA players, when we all know that's a bunch of nonsense, and it's not something anyone takes seriously. So that's what they were known for before this year, and they were just like lol cows. Uh, there's nothing serious anyone wouldn't say about women basketball until Caitlin Clark got hot. And this guy likes to pretend that he's some type of NBA savant, WNBA savant, or whatever. But he's just another goof uh, in these WNBA circle talks, and a weirdo. Because he last year I saw videos, and he deleted these videos where he was talking about how Caitlin Clark needs to get all these different players back into the WNBA who he feels are good players and all this type of stuff. And it's like, look, dude, if you thought, the other good players that came in before Caitlin Clark, and that Caitlin Clark has all these issues and stuff like that, and is not the best player, and there's other good players, why couldn't these other players, um, why couldn't they bring those players into the league? Why can't you ask Angel Wilson to get Sierra Dillard into the fucking WNBA? Why can't you ask? Why can't you ask Nafisa Collier? Why can't you ask Brianna Stewart and Sabrina and whoever else that is a top player in the WNBA? Why can't they do that? Oh, you got to use Caitlin Clark. You want Caitlin Clark to be a mule in her eyes. In your eyes, she's a mule. She needs to go and get these other players and be like a stepping stool for other players to come in, and so they can look good for them. So they can look good. That's what you want. You know, and so this guy was acting like he was some type of Fever fan last year, and he wanted all this success and all that type of stuff, and acting like he had all this pretend knowledge and all that. Like, dude, you just talking bullshit, man. Like, you're just trying to mix WNBA talks with like your fake spirituality bullshit, and you know I'm onto it. Like, it's bullshit. Okay, quite frankly, it's BS. Um, it's a reason why you don't open your comment section, because you'll get called out by you'll get called out by fans in passing. People will look through, like you type on YouTube things related to the WNBA and Caitlin Clark, and you might run into so and so videos, and you might want to comment on it and be like, hey, I agree with what you said, or hey, why'd you lie about this player, or why'd you try to say this player did this, or this player believes in this. Let's say someone might say Caitlin Clark is a MAGA player and stuff like that in their video, and then you get in there and be like, hey, no, that's not true. She's spoken about how she's influenced by black women, even if that might you know um, I feel like she didn't have to say that, but like She went out there and she said those types of things. She took a hit, by saying those things, and she's still being treated as if she's some type of, you know, she's walking around with a red MAGA hat and swastika or something. Like people are acting these goofballs in the WNBA and in those circles are acting like they're acting like she's some type of um, you know true like slick talking white girl like a Megan Kelly from Fox News or something like that. Like she's out here talking crazy with the black players and like subscribing to retweeting Fox News material and things from what do you call it, the Post and all these other different, she's out here retweeting Elon Musk and Alex Jones and all these types of guys. She's not doing any of that shit. They're out here acting. They keep trying to put this, you know, propaganda. And this is why I'm fighting hard, or not, Fever fans and Caitlin Clark fans are fighting hard because these guys keep trying to take, the few far in between idiots that troll on the internet under anonymous accounts and try to make it seem like this is the entirety of Caitlin Clark's fan base. Like they're just like, oh, she's a white girl, so now we have this is what we're gonna do. We're just gonna go and hide behind her and use her to attack other players. Like, get the fuck out of here. Listen, people are not waiting for some white girl to be good at basketball to be racist. If they want to be that, they're gonna be that, and they were that before that. All right. And they just chime in because that's something that's like cool to do, as that's like a trendy topic, as there's always some nonsense going on anytime there's a game between the Fever and some other team. uh there's always somebody getting a bunch of different people getting on and saying stuff for clicks and likes. And so that that gets me like, uh why is everybody, acting all, self-righteous and acting like they're above all this stuff? Like everybody on both sides, or if there's even both sides, on everybody on different, everybody's coming around using this as you know, their time to get clicks and using it as clickbait. Um, so nobody in this is perfect. Everybody's looking to get something out of this, as you see with the whole thing, RG3 and Ryan Clark. These guys, both these guys, you know, have their own thing going on with each other. But um, the issue with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, that foul that made that, they took that and they blew that up, and they had their own back and forth with each other over that. That was like crazy. But the point is, like, uh, this whole thing where people keep trying to put this light on Caitlin Clark when she's been very polite. She's been very respectful. She's said things. She's defended Angel Reese. She's defended her, even though Angel Reese, has gone out and trolled her and spoken, talk trash and has been frankly the one that's gotten away with being unprofessional. Caitlin Clark is still being, you know, spoken well of Angel Reese and has still had a good head on her shoulders about speaking on those who have done ill towards her. You can't get any more um, better than that. So when people try to like CFWB's sorry ass tries to go out and you know get a quick hee haw out of Caitlin Clark getting hurt. We know the type of bitch ass dude that you are. Which is why you sit around gossiping about women's sports all day. That's the kind of guy you are. Um, yeah. Uh, and I see through all the fake spiritual mojo stuff. You ain't shit. Uh, a lot of people do stuff like that. They like to pretend that you know they have some type of you know special relationship with God, and they're just so religiously upright, and they can and things terrible, and they think terrible things happen to people because you know they feel that they deserve it because certain things happen and certain things supposed to, like, certain terrible things are supposed to happen to certain people and stuff like that. Like he's trying to do with Caitlin Clark. He's trying to hope that um, take Caitlin Clark has an injury as a sign towards the Fever fan base uh, because of their alleged racism. Which is once again overblown on these spaces, and in on the uh, I've looked at several different YouTube channels. You don't see a bunch of guys running around, you know, using slurs or talking crazy about the black players, and just like all thugs this and thugs that, and I hate these thugs and the thugs this and the thugs that. You don't see a bunch of that stuff. You don't see that. Just you don't see that on Twitter either. You see just a lot of normal young people that are talking about the game, and they're keeping up with her, and they're being regular fans, and like a regular fan base, no matter what sport, they don't want to see their favorite player getting mauled and talked down upon. So they do so they'll, like, let's say someone like DJ talks about her, or hit pokes in the eye and does all this little shenanigans. They're gonna look up DJ's track record, and pull up dirty plays that she's had, and dirty things that she's done in the past, and or find out how, hey, like, what was her upbringing, the schools that she went to, and like, oh, look at this, she was a little rich kid. Her dad played baseball or whatever, or football, and so she's acting like she's some type of chick straight out the hood. That's not who she is. So we start putting the two and two on these players, Asia Wilson and another phony. These chicks are over here trying to be bullies and stuff like that, and they came out just fine. They came from good backgrounds, went to private school. They're not all this street tough stuff that they're trying to act like. But that's here nor there. The point is back to this guy. You know, you're also, like I said, a phony. Um, you were out here pretending to be a Fever fan um, last year, um, and you were hoping that Galen Clark would get these other players, Kaiserik. That after she got dropped from the Chicago Sky, you were hoping and adding and hoping that Keelan Clark would help put her back in the league. After the Chicago Sky dropped Kyrie after not even letting her play like that. You're hoping, oh man, revive her career because she's the hottest chick in the league. You know, you just another thirsty dude, man. You're just another thirsty dude. Trying to pretend to be morally upright. And pretend that you have this, like, understanding of basketball that and this understanding of the WNBA the rest of us don't understand. It's like, no, we understand basketball, and we know what we see out there in our eyes, and we don't just go out here just hating players because we just hate them. We see a pattern, and we see unfair treatment, and we see what's going on, and we're not gonna allow y'all to control the narrative. That's the main thing. We're gonna stay on top of y'all. We know y'all don't like it. We know you're not used to it, and too bad. Her fan base is here, and we represent it, and all you quote unquote old guards are gonna have to deal with that. That's not our problem. As they label y'all hatelins. You're a fence sitting hatelin, and you like to hide behind all your fake spirituality, and your fake, acting like you've been here before, so that you understand the WNBA in a way that you don't understand, like, it's different from other sports and other basketball leagues and stuff like that. Man, get the fuck out of here. All right, WNBA is not some type of private first class type of basketball. There's a lot of things wrong with this league, and um, it's gonna have to change with Caitlin Clark being in here. Yes, uh, that is what's gonna have to happen, and if not, then the league was just gonna tank and go back to the shit show that it was. Um, People sleeping at games, them not even being able to fill. They couldn't even fill games with, like, seats for 4,000 people. Like, sorry as hell. They used to brag about that. Like, oh, we almost filled a stadium, and, like, it's like, dude, you're supposed to fill the stadium. It's only, like, for, like, 4,000 people. Like, Keelan Clark is out here easily filling stadiums 4 times that size. Like, what are we doing? Um, so they don't have any other player that can do that. Like, you don't have other players that can fill a stadium uh, of that size. Okay, and nobody was doing that before. And Caitlin Clark is not your mule. She's not going to be your talking point that you just use and discard, and just throw racist, crazy narratives like racism on top of her and stuff like that, and think you're going to get away with it. I'm on your head. We're on your head, and that's what you're doing out here. And you're a effed up type of dude doing that type of stuff. You're a real clown. I just want to let you know that. You're not a stand up dude. You're a soft ass dude. You're a mark. You're a clown. You're a goof. You're a bozo. You're a D head. Um, you're a fuck boy. You know what I'm saying? You're a phony. You're a hatelin. You're a hater. You're not a stand up dude. And, I just want you to take that all in and understand that. So that's all I got.